Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's Datacolor SpyderX webinar. SpyderX, the best spider ever. I'm Boris Bergman from Datacolor, and I'd like to welcome you to this webinar tonight. Tonight it will be Oliver Muse with me. Hello, Oliver. How are you doing?
Hello, Boris. Thank you. I'm fine. I hope you as well.
Yeah.
I'm Oliver. I'm the Datacolor dinosaur. So I am working in the support group for around 14 years now, and I am a photographer. So my, let me say, angle of view is from a photographer's perspective.
Okay, so SpyderX, the best spider ever. That's the claim we have for this new product we released last week's Monday. And let's have a look what SpyderX stands for, and we will start where we do come from. And we have the first product released in 2001, so that's 18 years ago now. That was the ColorVision Spyder monitor sensor with the first generation Spyder. You see, that was the brand name at that time, and 2004 it was the Spyder 2, still ColorVision, and then with 3007 Spyder 3 entered the market. That was the first product that was Datacolor Spyder here, but you see the company is still the same. Spyder 4 in 2012 replaced by the complete new designed and with different internal components, Spyder 5 in 2015. So if you are familiar with one of these sensors, you would say, okay, I know them, they have changed, they have improved over the years, but what happened now? And the changes are, more dramatic than ever before. We have a new Spyder 6. No, we don't have a new Spyder 6. We said it's not just a 6th generation Spyder. It's a complete new development. And as you can see, that you have never seen before. As before you had a honeycomb filter at this point, and now you have a lens down there. You will find information on SpyderX.datacolor.com, and let's have a closer look what's been on with the SpyderX. What has changed with the hardware? We have a groundbreaking lens-based color engine. That means we have the lens down here, and the complete sensor is completely new developed. And as a consequence, as a result of this, we have a much higher level of color accuracy, and it is more precise than ever, but not only in the colors, also in the shadows, as you may guess down here already. But we have, from these improvements in the shadows, we have improved white balance, and the shadows details are much better now. Allow me to explain this graph down here, this chart, and you will see, okay, the green line. The green line represent 0.17 candela per square meter, because the y-axis is about the brightness, so it's the luminance, the candela per square meter. On the x-axis, we have the RGB value starting from 0, would end at 255, but we cut here at 30. So these are the dark colors, and the green line just represent the total black of the monitor. So below there is nothing on the monitor. And if you have a look now, a closer look, you will see the blue line that's representing SpyderX, and you can Spyder 5, sorry. That's the old one, and he has some limitations down here. This has been corrected, and
right. There's a little bump, so that means that the Spyder was the Spyder 5 was physically not as good as SpyderX to see it in a linear way. So what the software did, it compensates, of course. So there's an algorithm behind it that let me say corrects the measurements that can be done with the older technology, but the SpyderX is much more sensitive, and it is you see it in the graph or on the image on the right side. There's the lens inside, means it really focuses the panel in your monitor, while the Spyder 5 was collecting the light with its honeycomb filter.
Yeah. Yeah, but we will see this in a few seconds a little bit closer. You see, due to the new development, we do not use any organic filters anymore. We have a complete new measurement technology, and that allows us to calibrate all kind of monitors. You see, over the last, you can say 10 years, monitor technologies have changed a lot. The panel technology, the backlight technology. We have a various amount of different LED technologies. You see, we had white LEDs, yes, but then it came up GB minus R LED, as mentioned here. A couple of years ago, no, not a couple of years ago, approximately 2 years ago, it was the P3 gamut. That was 4 years ago, but they changed at Apple. They changed to our backlight that is called red, green, phosphor LED. So that's a single LED type with red and green phosphorus filters on, and by this they were able to create the P3 gamut. And as you can imagine, and you know from your normal life, if you think about LED, colors look different. That's because of the spectrum an LED emits, and this has an impact how colors will be seen and how colors will be measured and be corrected. And this is all known by the sensor now. So all type of monitors or modern type of monitors can be calibrated because the sensor is able to handle these calibration of these new monitor technologies. That's the advantage. And as Oliver mentioned, we have a lens-based system, and the lens gives the possibility to have a focus, and the focus point is not like a honeycomb filter, not defined. It's here, it is defined, and this gives an advantage regarding stray light effects during the calibration. And my colleague Oliver has done a really interesting test, and please tell us about it.
Right. So in my studio, I am working with a MacBook Pro, which is from 2017. So also that has the P3 gamut. By the way, stands next to a big 32-inch Samsung screen. I would guess around 25 or 30 degree angle to each other. So when I calibrated my MacBook Pro with the Spyder 5, and I did it, of course, so it was calibrated in the end, but I saw a difference between leaving the Samsung 32-inch monitor shining to my MacBook Pro, or when I covered the Samsung screen with a cardboard. There was a difference between the two profiles that I created. Why? Because of the stray light effect. Means the bigger monitor shines on the display of the MacBook Pro, and of course influences the calibration. Sorry, the calibration of my MacBook Pro. Now with the SpyderX, it focuses the panel of the MacBook Pro, and I did the same again. So what I made is I created two profiles, and in the end, I measured the white point with the covered Samsung display, the big one, the 32-inch, and with the uncovered big screen. And you know what? There was almost no difference. So visually, there was no difference. I was able to measure just a little bit. And so I thought, oh, that's much better. But what if I even do a mistake that is done by quite a lot of users? So I'm sure Boris can confirm this is what we see in our support ticket system. So I took the SpyderX sensor and I just pulled it a little bit away from the screen. So there was round about half an inch between the monitor surface and the sensor. And I measured that white point again. And you know what? It was so close to the measurement where the Spyder was sitting flat on the screen. So I'm not asking you to put the sensor away or to leave your room light on, or even worse, put the monitor next to the window and having daylight around you, a very strong daylight around you while calibrating your screen. So don't do that. All what I want to say with that is the SpyderX is much less to be what is a good word for that? Influenced or
to be affected from any stray light effects. Yeah.
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 In the
Right.
calibration. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
A great improvement. And but that's not all. You see, the new technology allows us also to do the calibration faster than ever before. Depending on the monitor, depending on the SpyderX Elite, on the gray balance settings, the calibration will be 1 to 2 minutes, then it's done. The more corrections, okay, up to 2 minutes. But if you have a good monitor, and yeah, it could be just 1 minute. Sometimes we measured 57 seconds only, and then there was the bell. Okay, ready. Good. If you think about the previous models, it was at least 5 minutes if you enabled the gray balance, and by default it was on. It was 6, 7 minutes, and if you had an elite version and you could do the iterative gray balance or the better gray balance, it was 7, sometimes 8 minutes. That's much, much faster than ever before now with the SpyderX. So you will save at least 4 minutes. So 4 minutes is not much, but it is important. Think about the following situation. You have 2 monitors and you want to align these 2 monitors. So that means there will be more measurements. Yeah, and then you will save really a lot of time. And if you think about, for example, in the past, when did you calibrate? The recommendation is every 2 weeks, once a month.
Yeah.
But it takes time in the past. Now,
right. Let me look from a photographer's perspective. You know, when I know I should recalibrate my screen every 2 weeks. So it's a kind of mixture between being too lazy to do that and being disturbed in my daily flow, my workflow when I retouch images and I do my work. So I don't want to be let me say bothered by need to calibrate my monitor, and now I need to stop that for the next 15 minutes just because if I want to recalibrate and match my 2 monitors. So, and with the new SpyderX now, it's not really stopping me from working. It's a minute and 1 monitor is done. So means 2 minutes and a little more because of 2-3 clicks. And my screens are recalibrated and matched. And what I realized is that it's no longer a reason for me to not recalibrate my screens just because of its it's just a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Okay, what else has been improved? It is easier than ever. We have added some functions. Some of you may know these functions. These are the plus functions we had previously, and that makes it easier. So you have now, for example, a profile manager. This profile manager allows you to rename profiles, to delete profiles. You have a one-click calibration. That's also much easier than ever before. But this brings us directly into the software improvements, because this has also something to do with the software. As we mentioned before, it's the fastest Spyder ever. But if you look at the interface, a lot of you would say, oh, I know this interface. And we have made intensive survey with customers and question them, what about to change and future versions and future generations? And the feedback all overall was they liked the interface, they liked the visit, they liked the possibility to have on the elite version to have an expert console. And so we said, okay, what we will do all the improvements under the hood, the improvements, the possibilities generated by the new sensor generation. So that means also we have different algorithms to be able to do more precise calculations. This is done under the hood. And this also means, of course, the SpyderX Elite software would not work with any previous hardware generations and the other way around, because that's it's optimized. But this is what we said. Okay, it made you feel just at home because you feel comfortable as you know the interface. But we added the new functions. These are these plus functions, as I mentioned. And so we will have a look at this in a few seconds. Because before we say, okay, when we talk about the hardware, we have to talk about the SpyderX product line. And we have one sensor, but we have two software versions. The first one is the SpyderX Pro and the more advanced SpyderX Elite. And in important information, you have to decide at the purchase time which one to go for, because there is no upgrade path to say, okay, I have a SpyderX Pro and I want to go to the Elite. No, sorry, that's not possible. Okay, so let's have a closer look what the SpyderX Pro stands for. We have a solution for all who wants to have a full calibrated laptop or desktop screen. You see, it's designed for all who take photography in a serious way, or designers that are seeking control on their workflow. So you can select the correct white point. You select from a list the gamma values, and then you have also your brightness covered at calibrated at 120 candela per square meter, which is the general recommendation, or you can calibrate regarding to the room light situation. That's what the SpyderX Pro stands for, you see. But this brings us to the next one, which is the SpyderX Elite. And the SpyderX Elite has additional functions in versus the SpyderX Pro. And these are, you have a full-featured calibration system. This is designed for expert. It allows you to calibrate your desktop, your laptop. Okay, that's what we have seen before. But now you can also calibrate your projectors when they are used with the computer. So we say it's designed for professional photographers and videographers that seek for ultimate control within their workflow. Because on this, you can now set all the values. You have the video targets, and also you have the ability to align and to match monitors if you have more than one among each other, and much more. But we will have a closer look on this, no problem here. Okay, coming to the next slide. As I mentioned, what are the software improvements? And we will see also the differentiation between the two versions SpyderX Pro and SpyderX Elite. We have, as a new function, the one-click calibration. The one-click calibration is, again, a good tool to see how fast the calibration can be. You do the first calibration as usual. You go through all the menus, you select the settings you want to go for. Okay, and when it's time for the next calibration, you just click the Spyder utility icon, and then you can select, okay, monitor whatever, iMac,
Right.
recalibrate. And when you do this, the software starts, and there's no question, okay, what do you want to calibrate? What are the settings? It starts and asks you, okay, place your sensor here, because it starts at that point. In combination with the really fast measurement, the calibration is really, really fast. So no reason to say, okay, I will postpone my calibration for tomorrow, next week, or whenever. No, you can do it just now, and you have the control on the colors.
Yeah, I heard you.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay, we have an automatic room light switching function. You see, that's one calibration that creates 3 profiles for low, mid, and high room light level. And the software with the SpyderX sensor is able to measure this by default every 10 minutes, and then it can switch to the appropriate profile. This is for all those who have no possibility to have a stable room light. Of course, the best thing is to have a stable and quite dim room, a quite dim workspace. But sometimes this is not possible. If you have a stable one, okay, you don't need this automatic function, because this is for those who have a lot of changing light situations. So, but the best, of course, is stable light.
Right. I'll always try to avoid daylight, just because of daylight is changing during the day and from day to day. So it's depending on the weather condition, what kind of or what a color temperature it is. So try to work with a stable light condition. Profile Manager is something I really like. It's a tool that you can start from the Spyder utility, and it allows you to reorganize your profiles. You can rename them. You can even delete them if these are older profiles and you just want to get rid of them. Just delete them without messing around in your system folders. So it's just reorganization of them is easy accessible by the Profile Manager. Or you can click profiles you see when you created them, or when you have printed profiles from printing services, something like that. You can really reorganize it with that.
Yeah, one additional information, because I like the Profile Manager. You see, of course, you can delete the profiles, you can rename them. A lot of people would say, okay, I know where the path is. Yeah, on Windows, it's system 32 spool drivers color. So yeah, on a Mac, it's a hidden folder. Okay, but if you rename the file name with a Finder, or on a Mac, on a Windows with a Windows Explorer, that's not all. Photoshop, but the profile still the same name, because in an image editing application, the profile name that is displayed is the internal name. A profile has a file name and an internal name. And the Profile Manager here, if you want to rename, it renames the internal and the file name in one step. So that's really helpful. And then we come to the differentiation. You see, the SpyderX Elite has the soft-proof functionality. You can also simulate devices like tablets, for example. A lot of people would say now, oh, soft-proof, I don't need it because I have it already in Lightroom or in Photoshop. Yes, that's true. In Photoshop and Lightroom, you can also edit and optimize the images in soft proof mode. So for the printout, yes, that's something you cannot do in the SpyderX Elite software, but in the SpyderX Elite software, you can do the soft proofing, and you can say, okay, take 3, 4, 5 images and put them into the soft proof function, and you can view them one after the other. You can even do more. You can select folders, including subfolders. Think about, you come back from a marriage you have taken the photos on, and you want to check them in soft proof mode, and you can do this in one step. You just click from one photo to the next, and they are all showing in soft proof mode, so you can check them. Of course, if you have to correct them, go to Photoshop or Lightroom, no problem. And also SpyderX Elite, as mentioned before, we have the Studio Match and Spyder Tune functions to match monitors, multiple monitors on one computer or across different computers among each other. That's only able with SpyderX Elite. What else do SpyderX Elite stands for? Function the SpyderX Pro does not offer. Only the Elite offers the gray balance fine-tune. The fine-tuning of the gray balance creates more precise correction curves, and that's important whenever there are changes, stronger changes in the curves. So if the curves make a turn, for mathematics, you should have more points to do the calculation for the curve. And this is what the SpyderX Elite offers you. If you enable that function, and if the monitor turns out, okay, the correction curves have to be stronger adjusted, the Spyder software will do additional measurement point at the areas where the curves are turning. And this gives a better and more precise correction curve at the end of the day. So think about
front projectors.
Yeah, front projectors. And you see, for all those who are in the video area, we support video targets, and the software comes with Rec 709, Rec 2020, also with the DCI-P3 gamut profile, and NCS and
NTSC.
NTSC, yeah. And what is also the advantage of this SpyderX Elite, you have unlimited targets. That means you can say, okay, I want to calibrate 120 candela per square meter, but next day you are working with some people in the pre-press environment, and very often they go to a 90 candela per square meter. You can set these values, and you can do even more. You can do set all calibration target values individual to your own needs, and you don't have to set them next time again. You can save these settings as a calibration target set, and you can just download. You can just use them by a drop-down menu. You can just recall them. And what is also important is the advanced display analysis that is more than the SpyderX Pro offers. The SpyderX Elite offers here, for example, functions that you can check the uniformity of the colors, the uniformity of the brightness of your screen, something that the SpyderX Pro does not offer at all, you see. So you have a lot of advantages here. And do not forget, at the end, there's a colorimeter function. And this function allows just to measure color, and you get the information. Okay, what about the white point? What about the brightness? What about the RGB value, the LAB values? So that's there, you see. You can have
what we also did is we put all these features together in a list. This is a little, let me say, too detailed to step through now here in that webinar step by step, but we want to show that. It is, of course, in the end, visible in our recording of that webinar, so you can review it afterwards. Or you can also use our link, which is SpyderX.datacolor.com. There is this list accessible, and you can see what or which feature comes with the SpyderX Pro and which one with the SpyderX Elite.
Yeah.
There is something else.
The
Very
operation
important.
requirements. Yes, the SpyderX product line. The software supports the on a Mac OS Yosemite. That's 10.10 up to the latest version, which is Mac OS 10.40 Mojave. And of course, the application is on a Mac a 64-bit application, and the application is being optimized also for Retina displays, for high-res displays. That means if you have a 4K display as a laptop, for example, no problems at all. The software is adapted to this as well. On Windows, we have Windows 7, the 32-bit Windows 7, as well as the 64-bit Windows 7, up to Windows 10, again, 32-bit, 64. I don't see really fixed 32-bit Windows 10 versions in the support, but yeah, they are still there. And all this is supported. But before we come to the next slide, I'd like to ask you something where we'd like to have your feedback. And we would like to know from you, which calibration tool do you use at the moment? This is, from us, a question that helps us to tailor and optimize our webinars for the future, according to your different demands. And therefore, it would be great if you give us a feedback here. And you see, Oliver, it's always there. We're almost 90% have given a vote here. That's great.
Yeah,
Thank
right.
you.
Right. We really ask everybody to answer that question. Just because of it helps us to improve our webinars. And,
okay, good. Which is unbelievable, really astonishing now, because we have, 67%, but with Spyder 4, Spyder 3 and older and different, it's only always 7%. I can see the detailed values. They are different at the end, but rounded it's 70%, 7%, and 13% who don't use a calibration tool at the moment. That means, okay, Oliver, it's time to set up webinars for those who have not done calibration and maybe need to learn why it is important to do so.
Right. Wait for another 2 or 3 minutes and we will tell you a little more about our upcoming webinars that are not just focused on one of our products. They are even explaining the whole workflow. But Boris, this webinar is about the SpyderX. And what I would like to hear from you is, could you give us a short summary why we should upgrade to the SpyderX?
Okay, so to sum up this, to make sure you understand why you need a SpyderX Elite. No, you need 10 of them, right? Okay, no, the SpyderX is the most accurate Spyder ever. We have the new design. We have the lens-based color engine that gives us a higher level of color accuracy regarding white point, regarding the shadow details. Just gorgeous, you say. Next, it's the fastest Spyder ever. Calibration in 1 or 2 minutes. So no reason now to tell or to think about, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. No, do it now. Make sure your image editing is based on a calibrated monitor. And it's the easiest to use Spyder ever. You see, you get supported, you get the functions you need. And of course, think about the display technologies that have changed over the last 5 years, 10 years, really a lot. So if you have quite a modern monitor, your calibration device shouldn't be not aware of these monitor technologies. That's important. you see. And these, in total, 5 arguments bring us to say, okay, the best Spyder ever, SpyderX. That's what we have in here. And as Oliver mentioned, for all those who say, okay, I need additional information, yes, we have the website.
Yeah,
but
that's quite easy to get additional information. We have a free phone support, a helpline, which you can see here. It's 00800 700 800 70. Really a double O in the beginning, just because of it is an international free phone call. You also see the USA number underneath, just for our USA users looking our European webinar. And of course, we have a 24/7 online ticket support, which is the support.datacolor.com/submit a ticket. And this is on the right side. You see how a ticket looks. When you click on submit a ticket, you can just, or you should, put in your name, your email address. Of course, otherwise we couldn't answer to you, but a little more about your computer configuration, so we know if you are working under Windows, under Mac, and so on. And put in your question, and of course, we will help you as best as we can. We can send you video links or PDFs to describe something, and so on and so on. So we are really helping in finding the correct sensor for you, or the correct calibration tool for you. And of course, we also help you to solve your issues within your color workflow. So then, last but not least, in the next slide, we see our link where we want to publish our webinars, our upcoming webinars, which is go to datacolor.com/webinars. We will offer more webinars, not just product related, more topic related, something like what do I need to do or ensure when I want to order prints from a printing service, or what do I need to ensure when I want to publish my images in online forums or Facebook or wherever you can publish your images. So all those topics will be clarified there. Just go in, they are free of charge, like this webinar here, and yeah, just register.
Yeah, we are looking forward. I have, as we come to the end of this webinar, I have enabled the question function, so you can just type in all the questions you have, and this will bring us to the end. Of course, we will do the question and answer section just now, but this will bring us to the end of the webinar, and that means also for me the end of the webinar recording.